Good day, class. Today we will be discussing the topic on the nature of research. This is for a portion of the module about our subject on biological research or biological research with seminar. Okay, that's Bio 415E. And as an outcome, you will be able to define, understand, and discuss how to conduct research. And two, you'll be able to formulate a research proposal with a valid experimental design. And lastly, you will be able to implement the proposed research that you will be actually crafting as a requirement to pass this subject. To start with this topic, let's go on first with the research or define research. Okay, research is a careful and detailed study into a specific problem, concern, or issue using the scientific method. Take note of the words careful, detailed, and scientific. These terms already introduces you to the very nature of research, and it speaks about how the activity should be done. Research is also defined as a process of scientific thinking that leads to the discovery or establishment of new knowledge or truth. Take note that the term scientific also appeared in the first definition of research. Expresses the idea that research, its processes and results are not subjective, but rather based on actual, accuracy rather. And another definition emphasizes that research is a systematic, controlled, and empirical and critical investigation of hypothetical propositions about the presumed relations among natural phenomena. This definition would tell us on how a research should be done scientifically, as it follows a systematic pattern. Also has to be to follow a controlled condition to give an accurate empirical answers to the questions in mind during the formulation of hypotheses, which are based on the observation around environment or the surrounding of the research. As we learned here, for research to be valid, it should be void of questions on its integrity, and it has to follow the accepted way of doing things. That is a scientific process. And we can recall that science is a systematic arrangement of knowledge based on facts and truth, so to speak. A research can be research start by observing the things, the phenomena or conditions around a researcher's surroundings. So observations on things as it appears will then create some curiosity and thus questions in one's mind to answer the whys, the hows, and what's forming in the inquisitive mind of the researcher. This curiosity would lead him to take action in order to discover these things, unknown maybe to him and also to the individuals around. Observation, the surroundings, and acknowledgement of a coincident phenomena would create some questions in mind and answers or tentative answers in the mind of the researcher. These tentative answers form what we call hypothesis. This hypothesis becomes a theory. This would need to be substantiated by experimentation, either to prove it or to disprove them. The researcher needs a guide in his research, satisfying his curiosity on a particular phenomenon or probably a solution to the problem that is present. And this is accomplished by stating in a specific term on what to attain, and we call it as the objectives of his study or inquiry, so to speak. So the formulation of these objectives of the study is guided by the acronym SMART, which means simple for letter S in the word SMART, and in terms of stating it using a very simple language, meaning that can be easily understood not only by the researcher but also by the reader. On the other hand, stands for measurable. This means it has to have some data that can be quantitatively measured, and this is done by converting every observation into numbers. Even in quantitative study, the observation has to be converted into numbers based on the established rating scale. This would allow the application of statistical tools which are accepted in the world or in the field of research. The interpretation of the resulting observation or data which were subjected to some statistical tools is a convenient way of determining the differences between and among the variables being studied. This is how experiment should go. Start from the observation, make some hypothetical answers to the questions that may arise in the mind of the researcher, and then after that you do some experimentation, and in the experimentation you need some materials, procedures that you would need, procedures that are established in the scientific world, and after that then you have of course to do some analysis on the data that had been gathered, and this data are subjected to some statistical tools in order for it to determine differences among the variables, after which a conclusion is drawn, and of course this conclusion would form part of answer to the question of the researcher. After this, a recommendation is crafted or formulated based on the significant data that had been analyzed by some statistical means, and this has to be presented or reported. This is the process of research reported. So research, when used conceptually, would serve to help people to identify problems and appropriate the solution in new ways. And of course, it has introduced new ideas. It can provide new framework to guide the thinking and action of those who works on a particular. That's all. Thank you.